Good morning. So beyond college enrollment, what does readiness for its academic demands actually look like? So in this report, we're highlighting this in two ways. One, we consider college readiness in California based on state level indicators, and we're also exploring how districts are supporting students in their preparation for college. Oh, could you please advance the slide? So these are really our two main questions that we're focusing on in this report. Oh, could you advance the slide, please? Thank you. So data for this report comes from several sources. For state indicators of readiness, we're relying on two samples of student level data for students that graduated in 2018. And these are coming from the CASP and CCI, which together are providing assessment and course completion information, as well as demographics. Both of these data sets in this case are including mostly the same students, except the sample that's coming from the CCI is a little bit larger as it's including students that may not have taken the SBAC in 2017. At the district level, we really focused on qualitative data. So this is coming from focus groups and audio and video interviews that we conducted with 20 school and district leaders across the state of California. And these leaders included superintendents, deputy superintendents, as well as other district level personnel that were really familiar with college and career readiness initiatives at that level. As we considered this data, 5 themes really emerged. One, how college and career readiness was being defined, the indicators that were being used to measure it, the role of coursework in improving students' college preparation, and ways to further support students' readiness, as well as ways to monitor it over time. So in the report, we consider what college readiness means, given that research has yet to settle on one core definition. But in our discussions with district leaders, it was clear that career readiness was inherently tied to college readiness. So one district leader voiced it as, we're finding that even in our local industry partnerships, the students need the same level of education and skill, even if they're planning to go straight into the work field or some vocational training, they need that same level of high rigor. A district leader in Northern California also made a distinction between college readiness and college eligibility, suggesting that the skills students need to be successful in college do not necessarily align with those required for college enrollment. This idea of college and career, however, is reflected in one of the indicators used by the state. Part of the California School Dashboard, the College Career Readiness Indicator, is a school accountability measure that classifies graduates as prepared or approaching prepared based on 8 pathways. And these include assessments as well as coursework, highlighting both college preparatory courses such as the AdG requirements, as well as career preparation, including CTE courses and leadership and military science. The CCI is only one indicator, but it also serves to highlight that overall multiple measures are being used at the state and district level, such as course and assessment performance, college admissions exams like the SAT, as well as students' enrollment and persistence in college. However, each of these indicators also suggests that there are different levels of preparedness for students and great variations between students based on race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and English learner status. One example of this is in the CCI itself. So in this figure, we'll see that the blue bars are students that are prepared and yellow are students that are approaching prepared. And out of all students that graduated public high schools in California in 2018, we're seeing that less than 60% of students were prepared or approaching prepared. And here we also see these differences across subgroups, particularly in terms of those prepared. English learners were only 15% of which were prepared, compared with 34% of students that were socioeconomically disadvantaged. And there's also large disproportion between Asian American students and white students that were prepared compared to African American and Latinx students. How students perform on the Smarter Balanced State Assessment is also a key indicator given its use in the CCI, as well as its ties to the Early Assessment Program, which communicates whether or not students are ready for college based on their scores. Here, gray represents students that are not meeting either standard in either subject, with blue being students that are meeting both of the standards. And overall, we're seeing less than 1/3, so 31% of students are meeting both of these standards. And how students perform by subgroup is also similar to their overall preparedness that we saw on the CCI, as we see that there are certain groups that are meeting the standards at higher rates than others. We also spoke with district leaders about 4 main types of college and career coursework in its roles. Could you advance the slide, please? Thank you. So one is AdG Courses, which students must successfully complete the requirements of in order to be eligible to enroll in a UC or a CSU. So in 2018, 40% of students completed AdG, with similar disparities appearing when we consider student subgroups, with Asian students participating at much higher rates than their peers, reflecting previous findings that we're seeing in both the SBAC as well as the CCI overall. And when we think about AP courses and exams, only about 14% of all students completed this as a pathway outlined by the CCI. In this case, these figures are representing exam participation, which was disproportionate across all subgroups, a similar pattern as we've been seeing. And when we talked about AP courses, one district leader said, "I've actually seen students receive the most opportunity for college access by the scores on their AP exams. It seems to me like it's the perfect mixture between rigorous coursework on a regular basis, followed with that demonstration of their ability in a formal assessment format. So given its ties to these indicators and college eligibility, access to these courses is particularly paramount for students." In terms of college credit courses through dual enrollment, which is usually part of a partnership with a local community college, research from our colleagues at Wheelhouse note that there are large differences in access to these courses, given that only 12.6% of California high schoolers take these courses, and a large majority of high schools in the state have no students enrolled in community college courses. This was reflected in our discussions with district leaders, who said that this can be a challenge. Additionally, only about 8% of California high school graduates in 2018 completed CTE, or career technical education, or the career technical education pathway. However, it remains an important pathway for students in general, as noted by district leaders. Across California, we also talked to lots of districts that were implementing and adapting innovative strategies to support students in developing and monitoring their readiness. So these included starting early, blending in test preparation, and increasing access to it for students, particularly in the PSAT, as well as highlighting the importance of both counselors and the community in these efforts. So today, there are significant state and local efforts that are aiming to address college preparation and smooth the transition from high school to college. Given the depth of this report, I was only able to touch on a few of our important findings. So I really encourage all interested to access this on the PACE website. I'll now turn things over to Kramer, who is going to talk about some of the new work our lab is conducting on college persistence and completion.